Hi everyone, as promised, here I am sharing my pantry with you. I decided to do this pantry video because I'm starting from scratch. I have very limited space here in my apartment, so I really had to make sure that what I stocked my pantry with were with key pieces that could take you throughout the whole month. And that would be pastas, rice, baking goods, sweets, and canned goods. So what I like to start is, I like to start with a bulk, and the bulk means foods that I could decorate with produce. Pasta and rice are two of those staple foods that I use and I decorate. And when I mean decorate, I mean I decorate with vegetables, fruits, nuts, cheese, vegetables, nuts, protein, and even dry fruit. And I use a lot of brown rice pasta and just regular 100% wheat pastas in different shapes and different sizes. And all I do is just boil, saute a pan with garlic and onion, and whatever vegetable you happen to have in your refrigerator, and you have a completely healthy, nutritious meal in less than 15 minutes. Another food that I love and that I use a lot, and what I actually do is I cook it in bulk. So I cook like 2 cups of brown rice or wild rice, and I put them in little baggies, and I individually measure the baggies so that I know when I'm cooking how much I'm cooking as far as how much I have of rice in my plate. And I use brown and wild rices. Any grain that has not been stripped from its nutrients, like white rice. In my house, I like to say, if it's white, we don't bite, because all the white food that has been processed has been stripped of its nutrients. So when you're actually having the whole grain, you're actually having a denser food with all its nutrients, and you stay full longer. And staying full longer means that you're less likely to eat or pick on extra calories. So I just love rice, and again, I cook it in bulk, and I just pre-measure that and put it in baggies and put it in the freezer, and it's ready for for stir fries, salads. And again, I love rice. And again, these are foods that take you throughout the whole month, so you don't have to be restocking and restocking. And I also like to use like black rice and wild rice, and these could be a little bit pricey, but what I do is I just use like a quarter of a cup, and I mix it in with the regular brown rice. Another key staple that I have in my new pantry is a lot of baking ingredients, because I like to bake and invent and recreate fatty foods and make them healthier. And one of the things that I love is the cocoa powder. It's unsweetened, so you're not getting all the sugar from it. And I like to dust this on fruit, frozen fruit, like frozen banana. I put a couple of sprinkles of this with cinnamon on a banana, and it's delicious. I also use it for, to decorate, coffees, or I make hot chocolate for my son, and I just sweeten it with honey. So this is really good as well. When I'm when I'm craving something sweet like the banana and the cocoa powder, I also like to make Reese's peanut butter. I melt dark chocolate, and I put a little tablespoon of a nut butter, and I let it freeze in the refrigerator for a while. And those are really good, sweet treats that get you out of that little hump when you're craving something sweet. But it can kind of get overboard sometimes. So to keep me in portion control, I use these little cupcake cups. So it makes me be under control over my portions, and it makes me not to go overboard on the chocolate and the peanut butter. Another staple that I have in my pantry is dried fruit, and I love dried fruit because I put it in salads. I put it in cottage cheese, and I dice apples with carrots, So this is really good, and it's sweet. And you have to be careful that when you're getting dried fruit, that you look at the ingredients and then it says that it's just basically the fruit dried or dehydrated. Because a lot of fruit, dried fruit, what they do is they add sugar, artificial sugar and colors. So just make sure that when you're buying any dried fruit that it's only the fruit itself and it doesn't have any added sugars. Another thing that I have is maple syrup. Maple syrup, because I use maple syrup instead of regular syrup, because maple syrup, that's what it is. It's just maple syrup. It's from a tree. It's a little bit more pricier than, for example, Aunt Jemima or Login In. I don't even remember what type. I haven't used those syrups in such a long time. But this goes a long way, and again, it doesn't have anything artificial. It's just 100% natural. And I use this to sweeten, again, my coffee. If I happen to have, stevia, which I love and I use all the time, I use maple syrup. And, this is just really sweet, so you really don't need that much. And it's 100% pure maple syrup. Another thing that I'm in love with is just the almond meal. Almond meal is just basically almonds that have been blended into powder, into a flour. And I use this a lot in baking to create, for example, a crust over fruit. And I put a recipe on my Facebook for the peach cobbler, and this is what I used in top of the peach. And this is just so good. Nut butters. Nut butters are another great way to get your healthy fats and also to get a little bit of protein throughout your day. And the nut butters that I like do not have anything that is not, it's just the nut. It's the nut and it's blended, and it's, for example, I use sunflower, I use almond butter, and I use peanut butter. And I use those in smoothies, again, on frozen bananas, just endless ways to use peanut butter, and it just makes your meal, it makes your snack or your lunch or any type of food that you're applying the peanut butter just like a little, it feels almost like a cheap food, but it's really not. So another thing that I have is canned goods. I really don't have a lot of canned goods because I try to use, like if I'm making beans, I like to cook my own beans. But now that I'm here in New York, it's kind of good. It's difficult because my kitchen is very small and it gets hot very, very fast. So I've opted to get a lot more and use a lot more canned beans. And I use black beans. And again, I could combine black beans with brown rice, and delicious, really good meal. When you do buy canned beans, just make sure that you rinse off the liquid that they're in because they have a lot of sodium. And if you don't like it dry, then just put a little bit of sodium-free broth in the saucepan, and then you put your beans, and it's very good. Let's see. Oh yes, another thing is I have, as you can see, I use a lot of coconut oil. I use it on my skin, on my face, and also cooking. This is basically kind of replacing my olive oil little by little, but I always have enough coconut oil in my pantry. So this is basically what I have in my pantry. Also what I have is I use a lot of, for example, tools, Ziploc bags, foil paper, wax paper, and Tupperware containers, because this is what helps me get throughout the week. I cook everything in bulk during Sundays, and then I just pre-measure everything and I put them in the Tupperwares. And this is something that's become very popular. I've seen on YouTube, how people kind of like give instructions on how to go ahead and go through the whole week, and they show you how to, have 7 meals throughout the week. So anyway, so this is my pantry, and next I'm going to show you what I have in my refrigerator and in my spice rack.